Hello and welcome. Right, we're going today to implement secondary fire in Unreal Engine using the basic first-person shooter. This will almost certainly work in the third and top-down because they all contain the same basic shoot mechanics. We're going to call this secondary fire. Oh, if I could spell. We're going to enable ray tracing to desktop platform. Go for it. When it comes to packaging your game, you can effectively release from multiple platforms. Require lots of testing, lots of playing about. As you can see, I've got an input device detected. That's my controller. Technically useless information, but we're going to implement some of that straight away. We're going to use the built-in input mechanics for the enhanced input engine of Unreal. I'm going to start by doing some basics. We're going to copy the projectile and rename it to secondary. Hang on, before we do that, let's show you what works as default. We have a gun, we pick it up, we shoot, the balls bounce around, and see they bounce about and add some impulse to the object around. Nothing exciting. We're going to implement some secondary fire on these items. So we're going to take our new secondary projectile, go to the viewport, select the object, and we're just going to implement a different material for it. Create one, or we could just steal one of the ones that already exists. Gizmo default gives us a nice red projectile. Save it, close it, and there's our secondary projectile. Yeah, at the moment we're not using it. So we're going to start by going into our input to add some more controls. Let's go into the default first of all. We can see that we've got mappings for jump, move, and look. We go into our weapons. This is the thing that controls our weapons mappings. So we have standard shoot, which has left mouse pad and right gamepad trigger. We're going to add to that a new mapping. We'll come back to. Let's get rid of that. Got to do it in the right order, otherwise you haven't got the next thing. Into actions, copy shoot, rename it to secondary. My brain doesn't let me update my own spelling. Into shoot secondary, it just says the button's been pressed. That's fine. We go back into input, into our weapons. We can now select input shoot secondary. Inside input shoot secondary, we can define our key mappings. We're going to add two. We want the right mouse button. And because the right is already used on the gamepad, we want game, add left trigger. And that's it for input actions. There's also a mobile control section, which I've not used yet, but there will be things that you could add to that if you're making a mobile game. For now, we'll stick with the basic keyboard settings for PC. So we go into our game and go and pick up our gun. Obviously, nothing happens. Press right click, nothing happens. Left still behaves as normal. Adding secondary fire is really easy on the default template and basically anything in Unreal Engine. We used to go into the weapon component and see what the weapon component does. The weapon component starts by defining how the weapon is attached to the character. So there's a grip point in the mannequin mesh, which allows the gun to be attached to the hand. It then uses the local input subsystem for the player, adds the context mapping of IMC weapons. That's why we created the secondary fire weapon thing. And then it plays an animation when the user's holding the gun. It also has, and this is the bit we're going to copy, shoot component. So once it shoots, I'm going to spawn the projectile. The projectile at the moment is the first person projectile. It's going to spawn it at a location, which we'll come back to. Play a sound to say we've shot, and then play a montage, which is the rifle shooting montage, so the movement of the gun. The location it's going to spawn it from is a transform made from the camera rotation and from the location of the socket on the gun. And we're not hugely worried about those at the moment. We know it works. We can trust that that's going to behave itself. I'm going to start by copying all of these only on this side of the comment. We're not copying the whole comment. It does some weird things. I move them down and out of the way. Then we're going to copy the montage because we like the secondary fire animation. And drag them down here, and then we'll reconnect that. I've discovered that if you select the existing, copy it and paste it, it still maintains links. It doesn't copy and paste everything. We get rid of that. So copying it within the comment as two separate sections seems to maintain its existing links. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the spawn. I put in shoot secondary because we created that. It's in this list. Now we also have a specific projectile we wish to spawn. We type secondary, first person projectile secondary. That updates the call to this function. That's what we're going to run. Save it and compile it. Go back to the first person map and press play. So with the mouse and keyboard, pick up our weapons. The impulse is applied as expected. Same with the controller. Click the trigger, it shoots. We use the right button on the trigger. We're firing our red projectile. Right on the mouse, we're firing the red projectile. Now, what that allows you to do from there is to make various adjustments to how your things are displayed and fired. So, for example, we're going to set the velocity of the impulse to 500. Which projectile do we use? The secondary projectile. So our first primary shoot moves the bolt and we fire secondary. Now fires substantially quicker. So you could implement on impact grenades as a secondary fire quite easily. We go back to our weapon component. We can implement a scale we're blowing the side of our ball up. And there you have the ability to add secondary fire to a weapon using Unreal Engine. Other tutorials will be coming in the future. They're going to be basic. They're going to start small and eventually build up to a bigger project. I'm going to keep my little tutorials out of my main project until my main project is at a stage where it's able to be shown. When it's done mentality. The plan is to recreate a classic game with some modern Unreal Engine twists, including maps, but we're not going to go into into every map that I'm going to recreate. And the detail, I'm not a modeler, I'm a programmer. So we'll see. We might be able to get some good recreations that do the game justice. We'll find out in time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you want any more information on this tutorial, any more expansion on the various items, please leave a note in the comments. If there's a specific tutorial you want to try and want me to try and create, I will go do the research and create it for you. Thank you for watching.